Hello, it's Nana Marie in Quebec City. I just woke up at 2:22 with a sudden coughing attack, asthmatic attack, and I sometimes when that happens, I feel like I'm going to die, but I never do. Um, it takes me a bit to capture my bearings to get my inhalers, which I'm still using because it coats something in there and it makes it feel better to stop the hacking. But I really, you know, I don't know if you're aware of this, but um, nicotine, or rather not nicotine, it's tobacco, is a poison blocker. It really is. We've used tobacco for a long time. So, but there was this redheaded guy, what's his name? Waters, or no, he was talking about the waters or something. I don't know, some redheaded chiropractor. He said that nicotine was a poison blocker. And I couldn't help but agree with him because it never affects me ever. I never had a coughing thing before, like I'd say around 2018 when it started getting really bad. No, it was 2017. I was growing a black mass on my lung, and that's when I started to cough, but not before that. So, um, anyway, lots of things we don't know about, and it's because we're not using our own human senses to figure things out. We have to be told and handheld on everything because of this dependency on outside influences to lead us the way, because that's all they've been doing all along, right? So I just want to make sure I'm clear to anybody listening to me that my role here, what I've taken on, is a role in my own imagination, as we all do. We're all taking on roles here, and it's all because of your imaginations. Do you understand? And you manifested it. You got it. Whatever you got. I don't know. I was manifesting shit. I was manifesting garbage. Although I never really quite went all the way. I thought I was. And so I had to check out a lot of charitable organizations, if we should say, to see what's going on around here. And, we're being taken for a ride, basically. But everything I say is in my imagination. And you know what that means? I only have one side of the story. If I'm bringing other people into it, right, and I do, um, I only have my side of the story, and it's true to me. Absolutely 100%. I would never lie. From my imagination, she's not a liar. It's like freaking Mother Mary. Not gonna lie. So, in my imagination, that's not possible. And I would challenge anybody to call me on something. I know that people think I lie because they only knew their side of the story. They didn't know my side of the story at all and didn't want to know, had no empathy to figure it out, no feelings to know. Like if they knew my feelings, they would know my feelings were love toward them. If they knew my true feelings. And sometimes I'm dry in humor and sarcastic, like mocking kind of thing. Well, I learned that here. So I'm sorry if sometimes it comes across all wrong, but I learned from you guys how to be a jerk. So I just wanted to make clear the other thing I'm doing is illustrating to my beloved subscribers how to take back control of their own lives. So I'm actually a teacher here, and in my imagination, because I remember when I was a little girl, I had a big red pen, and I was teaching my little siblings and any little kid that would come my way, I'd teach them how to read and write, and before they went to school, and and I always played teacher with the big red pen. I loved to mark X's. I really did. I really did. But all in good fun. Um, that's in my imagination today as a clue, and you can go back to your own childhood and find clues of who you wanted to be and who you are in your imagination, right? And whether you pick it up in video games or TV, I don't know if that's the same. I really don't know because I didn't have a lot of that AI in my face. I had actual uh, things I could handle, manage, touch, because touch is one of my senses. And you see, if you're going to give kids a toy, they need to be able to use all their senses with it in order for all of the senses to develop. If they're only developing their sense of vision or their sense of hearing or their sense of smell or taste, and they don't develop their sense of touch, that's a problem to me, because that's what makes us want to come. You think we can touch when we're ghosts? No. So, no, can't do that. Um, but anyway, I've got my spiritual world, in my imagination, keeping me very happy. Like I can't tell you how many times I've laughed today. I mean, I am so funny. To me, I'm really funny. Really fucking funny. And, when I finish doing something on Facebook, um, I go to the bathroom or something, I just can't stop laughing. I mean, no wonder people think some people are mental cases. But no, no, no. They're, they're on another dimension and they can't talk to you. No. It doesn't matter if they're sitting in a corner in a straitjacket, they're still happy. And, because it's just the beams in that pupil that is our real. That's the star. That's us. The beams in the pupil are what leave the eye at death and roam around and find another place or something. I don't know. But meanwhile, um, those beams are also recording your whole story, your feelings, and your. Well, when I go into meditation, sometimes I see things, and it's it it's another world, I guess, and very difficult to explain to people that have never had the experience. And you know how that goes if you haven't ever, experienced it. Uh, how do you know it's true? You don't. You have to go on faith, right? Well, who do you have faith in? You have faith in the government and the media and, you know, outside people. If you had faith in yourself, you would be able to recognize outside people who are good intentions and who are not. Because tonight, when I woke up hacking my head off here, um, I had a dream, and it was Gladys Love, Elvis Presley's mother. And remember how I said that I am positive she died of a heart attack, gun, and nobody ever said that. They just said she died of a heart attack because she smoked and she drank. And I said, no, she didn't, no, she don't die of a heart attack. No, like that. Um, and so I had these feelings, and I had a very strong sensation she was murdered by the military. Because all in all, Elvis was by then a military asset as soon as he married Priscilla, who is a sodomite, believe it or not. And I don't know how Lisa came in, but he's the seed, Elvis is the seed, but the creator, I don't know. Do not know who the creator of Lisa Marie Presley is. I only know who the seed is, and you know who the seed is. I mean, it's freaking obvious, isn't it? And that's how it works. Are you starting to get the picture? How the seed and the creator work? Mother is the creator of this child. Her consciousness is forming the child in the womb. Her consciousness of love and softness, and you know how mums are. Yeah, they all go get those pretty clothes and soft clothes. Now we gotta put them in plastic diapers. Are you kidding me? I was so angry about that. Like, it's not good. And those baby wipes, you just sit there and imagine for a minute now, as an adult, somebody wiping those terribly uncomfortable, cold, wet baby wipes on your bum. No, you have to get a warm baby cloth. We had baby cloths back in the day. Baby cloths. And we had cloth diapers with pins. Yeah, didn't murder any of them. Didn't really torture them at all. No, I know they lied. So, and circumcising my son was a huge mistake here. We are doing things without using our own senses. I didn't like the idea, but I didn't know. I'm stupid. Remember, I failed school. And the doctor came into the room after I had Trevor and said, would you like Trevor circumcised? He asked. I gave consent. The problem is it wasn't informed consent. You see, I didn't know what they were doing it for. So that's a problem for me now. And every other freaking mother finds out. I want you to know it's just not right to mutilate your babies, no matter what is in your head. Is it in your heart to do it, Mom? Is it in your heart to do it? If so, go on ahead. If you're not influenced by outside gods, and you're sitting there one day rocking in that cradle, rocking in that chair, and little baby in the cradle, and you're just sitting there, maybe having a smoke, a little bit of rum and coke, and then all of a sudden you're going to think to yourself, hey, I think I'm going to get my baby circumcised. You think that came from you, Mom? Okay, so 1978 is my son's year, and 1939 is my dad's. My dad, I felt, was the twin flame of Elvis. Elvis had a twin. Twins came. And but somehow the spirit of my dad ended up in Canada, um, through the gross closes, right? Through the gross closes. And married my grandmother, who is in my star cluster family, and I'm a reflection of her. I practically lived like identical lives with my grandmother. We're like one, me and my grandma. And my mom and I are different. She's my maternal mom, right? Now, what she is Um, she's my creator. Right, sorry. She is my creator and I pick her. So what's going on in her heart and in her what's going on in her womb and throughout her pregnancy is her consciousness. Um, she is creating me and through her thoughts and feelings. So um, she's creating me. So if a mother is going through hell, and my mother was in her mind, and it was hell for her, um, then, but it was all of her own making. I want to be clear. She was very selfish and she did not forgive, and she was a judge. And you bring things on, right? And anyway, they just get worse and more miserable. So, but anyway, she was my creator. And I flipped it. I flipped it. So, I am the opposite now of my mother, where if you don't like your mother, then flip it. Flip it like I did. Because I know so many, like Tish over there in New Mexico, she can't stand me. I had to mute her. Um, she just hates her mom. I think she's a redhead or something. I don't know. Her mom is, but a lot of people have told me they think redheads are soulless. I don't know. Like I didn't know before, but then now with my new awakening, I see them as really soulless. And what happened was, it came to me in a spiritual way in my imagination when I was sitting there watching a series, a Canadian series called The Beachcombers out of Gibsons, British Columbia. And the series went on through the 70s, and I grew up with it. It was a really good family show about, by the fishing village there. Anyway, just normal. You think, right? You don't know it's brainwashing to the max because you're just being entertained in your mind. But it is totally grooming in what they say, how they think, how the people talk to one another. All of that is grooming us. So, but then it came back again in the 90s. It went away, the show went away, and then I was so happy to see it, and I remember watching it again in the 90s. And then when I was here in Quebec, I was spiritually guided to watch it again from uh, uh, the 90s. It was on my PVR. It was there on my PVR to watch. It was like on cable. And so I thought, and it was in English. So whenever I see an English show, and it's from BC, my hometown, I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to watch that. And you wouldn't believe, something that struck me. And I couldn't figure it out until tonight, in the middle of the night here. What struck me was at the end of that show, it was about computers and how kids are, um, nerds. These two nerds. This redheaded nerd met a redheaded girl nerd, a boy and a girl redheaded nerds, and helping the village Neanderthals, I guess, with their computer or something, if I remember right. And at the end of the show, this old guy, the old, that old guy, said, I'm sorry, I have to paraphrase, but this is what struck me. These are going to be the kids of the future. And I remember going, oh, like this is just like in 2020, right? 2020, a lot of stuff came. After the Beings of Light came in 2016, it was coming piecemeal. But now, since 2020, hindsight, you see a clearer picture. You do. You do. And so that's why, in my imagination, I'm hoping that, like, because I am taking a risk by not taking this uh, Synthroid and suddenly stopping. I'm taking a risk because they told me I was, right? And I know that now. And so what I'm doing is counter hypnotizing myself. And you know what? That's risky. I know what I'm doing, though. I know exactly what I'm doing. And if my brain starts to act up, I am in control and I know when it's a little off. And so I do things to compensate and fix it. And I do it all naturally. I don't look it up and I don't ask for help. I do it intuitively. And that's a very good advice to any woman who she could save her kids a lot of heartache if she had her intuitive side working, right? But I didn't. I did not. So anyway, as I said, I was getting off track. My dad was born in 1939, and my son 39 years later in 78. You know, the year after Elvis died. And when I was born, I'm my dad's seed, and I was born September 11th, 1959, at Lionsgate Hospital. So all of this imagination stuff of mine also happens to come with some valid realities that create a story that is global, really. You see, I really wanted to bring my family together and then save the world. But, you know, it's just um, my story. And remember, I don't have the other side. Um, and so some people take me for a fool because they're watching, they're not talking to me or letting me know how wrong I am, right? Because they know I'm wrong as I'm talking. And to them, I say, um, it doesn't matter what goes on outside of me. And I want to teach that very strongly to everybody. It doesn't matter what your reaction is to me by anybody. I'm not impressed, or I'm not afraid, or I'm not ashamed. You don't understand when you're back in your own self, you no longer react to other people's negative reactions to you, to the judge. You don't react to the judge. And that aggravates the judge so much because they live for your fear or your shame. They live for it. And not getting it from me. Can't touch it. So, but anyway, all along, 1978 is a big number for me. And one day when I was a clinical hypnotherapist, uh, a guy booked an appointment and he ended up being a university professor at in Alberta somewhere, some university. And he looked like he was a little overweight and round and a little bit ginger, if you will. And but it's not clear. I don't think too much. I don't know because where is this ginger coming from? I think it's through blood transferring around or DNA somehow getting all mixed up somehow. I don't know how it would. I really couldn't imagine. Your blood's what happened? How'd your blood get all mixed up there, guys? So I don't know why some families have a lot of them and they don't know why. Well, I just wonder why. You got to think about it. Because, it's not up to me to hold your hand and help you figure out everything for yourself. But I'm telling you that it's getting around. And now, by soulless, that doesn't mean that they're um, horrible people. Absolutely not. I know lots, and they're not horrible people. Really, I know a lot. Um, I know some who are. They can be calculated. If they've got a bad imagination, yeah, you could be in trouble. You could be in trouble if they have a bad imagination or were learned the wrong way. Because remember that it's a bloodline. It's a bloodline of bad. It's Satan to me. I take it literally, the red. I do. In my imagination, remember that. Don't take me to court unless you want to prove your case. Yeah, Trevor proved his case in court too. He went all the way to the Supreme Court to fight for custody of his son, Dylan Thomas. He failed, and Dylan Thomas was turned over to the care of a 58-year-old lesbian because it's in the best interest of the child, according to CPBS or whatever they are. So that's what happened to Dylan Thomas, and that's why rage against the dying of the light, right? To me, that's why, I'm raging. So, this professor came in, and he said he had a gift for me. He wanted to give me. And it was a golden box. Do I have it here? No, I don't. It was a little golden box, plastic. It was old, but it had a deck of cards in it. And then I flipped it around and I could see it was tarot cards. Tarot cards. Oh, I hate tarot cards. They're like magical stuff to people and magical thinking. And I was a serious clinical hypnotherapist working in depression and anxiety, not that kind of thing, not enlightenment stuff. And because I felt New Age was just as bad as the old stuff, it still brought in judgment and fear, and just fakery. Everybody being fake now, law of attraction stuff. They thought they meant the image, but no, it's the heart's will. The heart knows, and the law. You're going to attract the heart, and so if you've got two parents that have attracted each other, they're of the same heart, whether you love it or not. They are. They wanted to. They had children. If they had children, that's it. So, yeah, I said, no, I was grateful though. I thought, wow, there's something going on here. Uh, Somebody bringing me gifts, but he didn't want anything for it. Okay, thank you. Never heard from him again. And I took them home and I counted them. I don't know, that's what I do. I use my own senses to try, like numbers mean a lot in my spiritual world. It goes up to 9, and I can use any combination to decode things. And so there were 78 cards. Can you believe it? And so in my imagination, I get little validations like that. It makes me feel so good. So I decided to shuffle them up and pull 3 cards and put them face down. Shuffled 3 cards face down. Then I flipped over the first one, and it was the star tarot. Flipped the second, it was the moon. Third, it was the sun. So that was weird to me because I always thought of tarot as cups and stuff, right? And swords. But there was those 3. And I knew it was a spiritual understanding, meaning for me, and I was very happy. Um, I asked some girlfriends that were considered themselves goddesses or witches or something if they could help me interpret it because it didn't come with a book. I had to figure it out myself. And that's the best way to figure everything out yourself in what makes sense to you until it works, what makes sense to you. So it was really weird earlier tonight. I was, if I'm going to answer the question now, can spirit move objects? Because I told you I felt spirit move my hand, like through in me, though, move my hand through in me. With my mouse on my, because I'm very bad at, how I am even on a computer is beyond me. So I feel I have a lot of help spiritually from my son. And, um, but I didn't, and I thought of objects moving, like lighters, especially lighters moving and dimes showing up. But you don't know. And you know what? I just leave it out there. You don't know for a fact yet. Well, tonight I found out for a fact that I pulled out the box of tarot cards and I was gonna pull. What I do usually is I just shuffle them until one falls out, and sometimes more than one falls out. But if like a whole bunch fall out, I just pick it up and shuffle again. But if one, two, or three, maybe sometimes four fall out, those are my choices every time. That's how I pick my tarot cards. And so when I picked up the deck, the first thing I saw at the bottom of the deck, just in a glance of my eye, was the Fool. The Fool was at the bottom of the deck. I shuffled up the cards, and in my heart and imagination, I really want to see the 10 of Cups. I just want to see the 10 of Cups. Um, and that 10 of Cups shows us, all humanity and family, coming together, holding hands and looking at the sun. That's the 10 of Cups. And I had that, I wanted that one. And I thought, can I have? I don't want to see any empresses or any goddesses or anything like that. I just want to see that. And so I shuffled up and didn't see it. It was the what was it? The magician. It was the magician um, card in tarot. And if you look at that, just check online. Um, it's just perfect because using my imagination can help trigger negative, bad, old, historic ideas that are self-defeating, to say the least, and turning the brain into a whorehouse for children. Not acceptable in my heart. Right? I go by my heart. I don't go by the news or what the authorities say. My heart, we don't do that to children. So I knew I had to uh, force myself to let the spiritual information that I got in 2016, that was all very real. I kid you not. And any of my dreams or spiritual experiences, I stand by very strongly. I am not ashamed and I am not afraid. I want everybody to be very clear about that. But there's a lot of mental case counselor type people watching me. And I don't know whether they just want help, but they're welcome to get it from me. because it's to investigate other people's minds like that. There's something seriously wrong with you, and to even want to. It's sort of a superiority complex, and it turns you into the worst kind of judge. And you're interpreting behavior based on books that you've read, and you're not using your own human senses. So we could go to court on it. Yeah, I want to do that. But anyway, about moving objects now. Go right into crazy files again. The I went to the bathroom. I was very pleased with getting the magician card. And I went to the bathroom and I came back. The cards were all together. I got the magician card, put it on top of the rest of the cards, put them in the box. And then I looked over on my table, which is not where the cards were at all. And there were 2 cards sitting there, all by themselves. All by themselves. I didn't move them there. And I thought, oh my God, what's that? And I picked them up, and the first one I saw was the 10 of Cups. All the happy people. And my heart just got so happy. So, it's spiritual validation there, right? But guess what the other one was? It was the King of Cups. King? What's a king about? And so now my imagination has not allowed me to believe Jesus really returns, because it's so stupid. Right? I wouldn't let myself go all the way in that, because to me it was always a fairy tale. Me and Trevor already looked. We went to every church in British Columbia. Not just exaggerating, but at 13, Trevor told me Jesus in the building. Jesus left the building, and he quit going. Yeah, he left the building. You don't want to stay in the temple. You got to live with your senses. And you got to, yeah, he got in a lot of trouble. But guess what? Him and my dad and me, we had a lot of fun. I know we got in trouble, but we had a lot of fun being failures at school. And that's the truth. But then now we get so demonized. My dad ended up in prison all the time. I ended up in institutions with mental case labels, and my son ended up dead. So, it doesn't work out for the kids that fail the IQ tests they got going in grade 1. Grade 1, we get tested. I don't know if you know that. And those tests are letting them know, I think, targets. Because suddenly I failed grade 2. I'm a failure grade 2. And my son, he was tested genius, gifted. Psychologist called me in. I went in. He was gifted. Next year, he was labeled, and he was given a medication for that. And I didn't know what was inside the medication. It comes from poppies. So I didn't know I was feeding my child something that I wouldn't have if I had informed consent. I wouldn't have done that to my son. A lot of things I wouldn't have done. So I need full informed consent from here on in before anybody touches my mind, body, or anything else, right? So where did those cards come from? And what does it mean? Yeah, I need your help on that one because I don't know. I'm not there yet. Somebody on Earth showing up as a king or something? I don't know. Could be. That's the seed part. I don't know. I wouldn't have created him. So I can't read his mind. Yeah, I don't know who it would be. Is there a king out there? I'd know if he was the real deal. Because whatever happens, I just can't see. Oh my God. It could come from the skies. Because, you've been seeing orbs around. Orbs are real. Orbs are perfect. It's so dense here, guys, that the spirit world has to wear a protective bubble. The energy is so dense and dark. It's like them coming into the national forest. It's the mood has to be lifted up for people to see Christ. That's what I'm told. That's what I just got in my head now, in my imagination. You guys have to be lifted up. You have to lift up your own spirit, your own vibrations. Now, how do you lift up your vibrations? You certainly don't go do yoga. That's the last thing you do to raise your vibrations. You listen to music that pleases your senses and not that satanic stuff that you've just grown accustomed to, like the heavy metal, but something that gives you. I really like some of my playlists. If you go to emotion and song, you may just have a song in there waiting for you, special for you. Spiritually, we're all interconnected. So raise your vibrations by picking a song and dance or cry. One or the other, dance or cry. Sorrow is the seat of joy. But we don't want any fear in there. We don't want any shame. It is what it is, because I've put up with a lot, and I know a lot of men. I've put up with a lot of them. Really bad. Went really bad. Didn't use their own. It's bad. It's bad. But to tell the truth, that if you know what happened, there's no one to blame. And if you're going to point fingers, you're still being the judge. The only thing you can do is your own, I told you, self-recovery, which is what I've done. This way, I have been able to cope with hell on earth. Because if I didn't have this story to create, which I have my son, I have extras, right? If I didn't have this for me to hang on to as maybe true, if I couldn't believe in myself, what would happen to me? It would be a nothing, empty world. It would be a plastic world. And that's what I mean by soulless. I mean plastic. And without the light, it's impossible to know the imagination and what the intentions are. And I know too many red-headed newscasters and politicians and idol stars who are influencing, and they don't know what they're saying. So I wouldn't trust them as much as I trust others. But like even that Waters, the guy that was talking about poison in the water or something, I don't know. the chiropractor, and he said nicotine. They twist what is real. It's not. He said go buy a patch, and it's a poison blocker. And he's an authority. He's a chiropractor and an academic, and so people listen and they go and buy the patch. It's not the nicotine. It's the tobacco. You got to think things through. Why wouldn't it be nicotine? Be a poison blocker. Anything that is going to help us is going to be um, natural. And when they're telling you nicotine is in our food, it is not. It is tobacco. It's tobacco because it's a plant. Nicotine, I just can't see it being a plant, guys. I think it's just like a resin, right? So I don't know what it is, but you're being the fools if you don't use your own senses and take care of your own self um, by starting with your childhood. As somebody asked me, how can I connect to who I really am? And I said, go back to childhood, just as Jesus said too. Go back to childhood and remember when you had joy. What brought you joy? And recreate it and erase the stuff that took your joy away and recreate what really you love. Okay? I don't know why I did all that. What time is it here now? It's okay. That's another 45 minutes or so. Maybe I'll add something to it. I don't know how I'm going to process this. I don't even know. It's the middle of the night. But I just moved by my spirit and I'm ready to go back to sleep now. Thank you.